Yeah, they see me on top and they get mad cause they can't top me. Got me running up the skull when they even matter cause they can't stop me. Yeah, they see I'm trying to watch me and they trying to copy and it's looking sloppy. Yeah, we about to get it poppin', talking non-stop, can I get a copy? Yeah, you see me on top and they getting mad cause they can't top me. Got me running up the skull when they... Make money, make money, make money, then you take money, take money, take money.
Hello and welcome back to KSV TV YouTube channel, and this is Crypto Combos. It is Wednesday, hump day, halfway through the week. Yes, almost to the weekend. I couldn't be happier. Today we have an awesome stream for you guys today. This guest is a perfect combination of both beauty and brains. Beauty on the inside, beauty on the outside, and brains, big brains on the inside that she often shares with our community. So I'm very, very excited to introduce FashionCoder. How are you doing today?
Oh my goodness, I'm doing so good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. It is a good day. It's a little bit rainy, which is surprising for San Diego. But we need it. I love it when California gets a little rain.
Yeah, absolutely. It's rainy here too, which it's like slightly gloomy, which is kind of sad. But at the exact same time, it's like, okay, no, we need the water. This is good.
Absolutely. So for our guests out there who aren't familiar with your backstory, maybe you could just share a little bit about your experience in coding and then how you found crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my background in coding spans back to when I was in 8th grade. And so I took a computers and business class, and we had to have a business that we had that we were going to do like all these like different assignments for. So I had a fashion company as my business, and the teacher, she had her son come in and teach us about websites and how to code websites. And it just like grabbed my attention. The assignment was like 5 web pages or something like that. And I ended up doing 20 because seriously, like it was something that I loved. And so then when I went to high school, I went to a tech college as well as like my normal high school and like my college classes within high school. And I got a applied technology technician certificate. And then from there, like I learned how to build computers, how to network computers, and I also learned more about coding. And then I realized, oh, coding's what I want to do. And so I went and got my bachelor's degree in computer science, and I had 4 internships in college. And so I did different development within that. And I really did like what I was doing. And then I became a software developer like full time once I graduated. And then I realized I did not like what I was doing. And so from there, I went and got my MBA in IT management, and now I work as a product owner for a tech company. So I'm like basically the liaison between the business and the like the software development team. So I get to work with software developers every day, but I don't have to be a software developer and I don't have to code. So very grateful for where I'm at right now. And so within that journey, I got into crypto 4 years ago with my dad, actually. He had already been in crypto for like a year. He was like, hey, Rachel, like you should go in and invest some money into it. And so the first week that I invested money into it, it doubled. And so I don't know how this happened, but I got in at the very bottom of the last bear market. There was no timing. It just happened to be the day that I got in.
Your dad set you up perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't even know either. So after that week, I just was sold on crypto, and my first coin that I bought was Ethereum. And then from there, like it just, there's been so much learning, and I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of this community within just Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX. And it's a great place to be.
Absolutely. So who found Hex first? Was it you? Was it dad? Who brought the other one in?
Yeah, so it's definitely my dad. So my dad has been the one that I blindly followed for like 3 years, honestly. I really started doing my own research last year when I started my channel. And so it was definitely my dad. My dad just invested a couple of $100s into it. And then he actually didn't tell me about it. And so he got into it. I think he got in right before big payday. I can't remember exactly, but he got in, and then I got in about a year after he did. And so I definitely missed out on all of like the big gains that everyone was like getting. I think I ended up getting like a 5x or something of when I did get in, which is fine. Like I'm now staked and have my different like ladders of staking, so I'm happy with that. But I wish I would have gotten in sooner, and I'm just so glad though that I know what Hex is now.
Yeah. And I mean, we're still so early. I think a lot of people were feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, look at this project. I've already missed the big run up. And anybody who was paying attention, I mean, we had months and months of sideways action, right? Between like 4 cents down under 2 cents. And if you made any type of purchases during that time, you should feel that euphoria from that last run, right? Those constant like green candles. So it's a great day. It's a great week, month, couple months to be a Hexican.
Exactly. And I was so grateful for Hex going down that low because I did get in, because at some points, like the t-shirt was worth like $600 for one. And I was like, this is insane. Like, this is absolutely crazy. I was like, I'd be dumb if I'm not putting money into this right now.
Yeah, for sure. So when you first like started looking at Hex, is that where you first were like, okay, I have a background in coding. Let me look at the code and see what it's all about. Assure myself that this is a good project.
Yeah, so I hadn't really looked into different crypto projects and their code. I knew that a lot of them were open source, but my dad kept telling me, he was like, there's no admin keys, which is really like what got me, because, I went through a very traditional route of coding and had never done any like crypto or like blockchain coding. So I had no clue. So he was, telling me like, there's no admin keys and like it's, nothing's ever going to change about this code. And that at first was like such a red flag to me, actually, because I was like, there's no way you can do that. Like if you did that, then like, what if there's a problem? What if there's a bug? You're not going to be able to go fix that bug. But then I was able to, go into the code. It's only a couple of thousand lines, which sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's not for an entire project. And a lot of it's just like filler space of like different code that you have to have. But I started going through it and I realized, oh, like this actually is what it says it is.
Yeah. So you said it's only a couple thousand lines or whatnot. For somebody like me, I wouldn't even know how to find the code. You use the term open source, which basically just means that it's available for the public to be able to view. So how do you even find a code?
Yeah, so I can show you.
Sure.
Let me present. Share this screen.
I just want to say hey to all the people in the chat.
Perfect.
Good to see you guys here.
I love the chat. The chat is one of the best part about streams. Okay, so right here, I'm just on hex.com. So come to hex.com. And then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is this developers. And for some reason, it's not highlighting. One sec. If we just go, it's because I'm already in it. Okay, wait, hex.com right here. Scroll to the bottom. And then developers right here, click on that. Okay, so I'm in the developer resources. And there's a couple of different people like you can contact. But then right here, it says hex code is public. So you can go in and actually read the white paper. And I know a lot of people actually haven't read the white paper, but I highly recommend it. Like reading the white papers of contracts really, truly does help. So reading the white paper and then going into the code, if you know how to code, really helps too, just because you know what you're looking for. But then if we click on Hex's verified code, then it brings us up. And this is the same tab, so I'm going to close that. Okay, so this is the code, and it's open source. And what open source means is anyone can actually go in and look at it, and anyone can actually take it and use it. So I'm sure people have seen that there are other variations of Hex within different blockchains. I know that there's one called Rex, and I've seen a couple of other ones. So they've just taken the code. And I mean, that's what Pulse Chain is doing with Ethereum. It's taken the code and then is doing other things with it. So that is something just to know, that like it's a very sought after thing. Okay, so here's the code right here. And if we just scroll down, we can go into the code. But there's these different parts. So it goes into like kind of like the different contracts. And these are just, things we don't really need to look at because they're just like numbers and such. But if we come in here, this is like the meat of the code. And I'm just going to scroll to the bottom so we can see how many lines there are. Okay, 2,956. So like as we can even see just like within this function, like one of the lines is just a bracket. One of the lines is, it's right here and it is blank, right? So a lot of it is just filler stuff. But yeah, so there's that. If we scroll up though, are you okay if I like show some things within?
Yeah, please.
Let's see. I had this written down, but I forgot my notes. And so we're going to find it. We're going to find it all together. But if you like look up certain things, sorry, it's also never fun like watching someone scroll through.
I'm with Crypto Jack. He says that coding seems complicated but very cool. Like clearly this is the meat, right? This is all of what makes it so wonderful. But just to look at it, it's just like almost reading a foreign language. It's just a lot of characters.
Yeah, no, exactly. It totally is. And that's why I appreciate comments. So like this right here, this actually isn't code. It's just someone's comment on what's going on within this particular part of the code. And so something that I do like is the people that wrote this really did do a good job with just what they added in. And the thing is, lots of us can't read this, but you use this when you use Hex and when you go in and stake Hex. So like you're using this without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so right here, okay, so stake, so this function, and what a function is it's just like a section of code that gets ran when it's called. So this is the stake start bonus hearts. And so right in here, it literally goes into the longer pays better and the math within it. And then the bigger pays better and the math within that. Let's see. There we go. And then like combining the two and then how that like ends up being like a part of the T-shares that you get, which is crazy, because that's like something that we all see and that we all like have learned about, but it's right there, right in the code of like how that works. And then I also want to scroll up to the top and just show one other thing. This might be a couple hundred lines in, so also sorry, this is going to take just a second. And for reference, just super quick, so it's like 3,000 lines of code, right? I've been at companies where they have millions of lines of code. So 3,000 lines is like something that actually can be digestible, and it can be something that you could go in and be like, oh yeah, like this is going on. So that is something that's also super helpful when it comes to that. Let's see.
Could a lot of lines of code possibly be a red flag in a crypto project to where it's like, what are you trying to, cover up? Like, what are you?
Yeah.
Are you trying to add a lot of fluff so that we don't see, your special little admin keys or whatever else?
Yeah, so it definitely could be. I mean, Pulse Chain, for example, is probably like getting to that point of being really close to that amount. And so I think blockchains are probably different.
Right.
Within just a smart contract, like,
yeah.
I mean, I would prefer one that's smaller, but all of the ones, even within the Pulse Chain like network that I've seen so far that are actually already open source, they've been pretty like easy to go through and read, and there's not like an overwhelming amount of code. So there's that, which is nice.
Did you find what you're looking for?
Yes. So right here, so I mean, most of us hopefully have started a stake in some way. And like this right here is one of the events of stake start. And so it comes in and takes these different variables, and what those are just like different line items. So like how much you're going to stake and the day that you started staking and the day that you want to end staking and all of those things. And so that can just be seen right here. But yeah, and so it's on my list of things to do within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to do a deep dive on the Hex contract and read through it fully. So it's probably going to be like an hour-long stream or something like that. But I am going to go through and read through everything and explain everything that's going on.
Wow.
Which is going to be a hard task, but it's okay. It'll be good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess what you're trying to do by reading the code is understand a little bit deeper how the system works, how the contract works. But also, in my mind, I've always seen it as a way to make sure that you're not getting scammed, right? Like there's got to be something in the code that shows me that, these guys are bad actors, that the funds can get easily moved or something. What are those type of things you're looking to see when you're reading the code? Is it just plainly stated, or are there like red flag words that you're looking for?
Yeah, so some things within that, like you're looking to see if at any point in time it's going to be sent to another address. And so I actually had someone ask me a very similar question recently of like, well, I'm trying to get into X coin, like, is it going to send somewhere else? And I'm like, well, you could look at the code and just see if there is any like place where someone's going to set an address or someone's going to send out an address. And within the things of like being immutable and not having admin keys, like you can look for that. And so you definitely can try and see if it is going to be sent to any specific address. It would be really stupid if someone just hard coded an address in, because that would be able to be flagged like super quickly. And if a project is being audited, like easily, like it's going to like, not pass that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's helpful to know.
Yeah, totally.
Anything else on the screen share we should see?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot going on, and like right here, okay, this is actually a really good example. So there are addresses right here, right? So it'd be like, oh, well, what is going on with that? Well, those addresses are like actually used within like the transferring to be able to stake and everything. And so it's all about, all of these things of, okay, well, where is this actually being used? Because, this original address right here is being set, but where's it being used within the code? So it's even just like one more step of like, well, what's happening with this original address like line, and it can be used anywhere. And that's the nice thing about Control F is you can just search throughout the whole entire code and find like what you're looking for at that point. Yeah.
So Crypto Jack, and I think you already mentioned this, says, can we see T-shares within the code and or probably the mathematic equations? Seems very interesting. And that is one thing that you showed us, right? That you were showing how it was calculating the bigger pays better and the longer pays better. And that is essentially, our T-share.
Yep, exactly. And things can be called different. So I'm pretty sure within this, see how it's called share rate? I think that's what it's called. I don't think it's called T-shares, which actually totally makes sense. So like here is the stake start, and then it takes those stake shares to then be able to go in. So yeah, great question.
That is very cool. So I'm interested in, I'm guessing, we're done with this and I'll remove the.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm wondering, are some of like our derivative projects also open source, and if you've kind of looked at their codes at all?
Let's see. So I have looked at Hedron, and I really like Hedron's code. It's super straightforward, as well as BlaKc. Yes, I think those are the two that I really have I think I've done videos on both of them. If not one of them, I can't remember. I forget what videos I do. But yeah. Yes, especially when you look at code like so often too. It's like I can't exactly remember what it was, but I remember being impressed with both of how they had comments in it. And I mean, I think that's probably just because I'm a developer and I like to see what they think is going on within the comments, and then being able to be like, okay, well, this is what I think is going on. So both of their code was very clean, which is a big deal. And they had good commenting and it was organized. And that is something, at least just from my perspective, that's important, because if you don't have clean code, like it can be chaotic and you might end up like adding other bugs in. But something that I've realized about this community is the developers in this community are phenomenal. Like they are such good developers. And I wish I was as good of a developer as they are, but I'm like, hey, I'm just glad I can read code and I'll go in and read their code and just tell people about it instead.
For sure. Also, I just had a question. I just kind of lost it, but I did want to know. Shoot, I really lost my train of thought. I started reading. You know, you read a comment and then you're like, yeah. What is that? But I was talking about the Hedron code. I was talking about the Maxi code, open source. The idea of open source. How did a project determine? Is there like rules or something to determine if you can keep your source closed? Is it if you use someone else's source to begin with, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I think within crypto, the reason why so many projects are open source is actually because they want to show clarity and they want to show that there's security and they want people to trust them. So having open source code really does like help with that. But the thing is like in corporate America, it's actually not super common to have open source code. You don't want to have open source code because, you know, you want your product to be just specific to what you're doing. And I mean, of course, there are companies that do have open source code, but this is my hypothesis that people within crypto want people to trust what they're doing. And so that's why they have open source. And so I don't know if it will always be like that. Because right now, you know, with onboarding, like we want people to trust us. We want people to think crypto just in general is secure. And by having open source code, like it helps with that. Something else with open source code too means that people can copy your code and use it, which is great. You know, if you want people to make different derivatives off of it or, you know, whatever that is, but maybe one day people won't want that to happen. And so there's definitely pros and cons to both. And I do think that that's the reason why people in crypto are just so open to having open source code, which I mean, it's nice. Like you get to learn from other people's code and it allows for there to be a lot of visibility. But also you have to be a developer, I feel like, in a way, to be able to go in and even just like know what's going on. Because like I'll see someone like, we just saw it, right? It said HEX verified code. So I clicked on that and it like brought that up. But how would you know what to look for and look through? And other websites, I don't know if you've heard of GitHub. That's typically where like the open source code will be. Like, you know, there is that entry level barrier of just knowing, okay, like how do I go through this file structure? Yeah. And how do I actually figure out what files are being called from what? And it can be hard even just like reading it instead of like, you know, getting it on your computer and running it yourself. But you can do that with these different codes because they're open source, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So I saw that you found the code for HEX on hex.com. But yeah. I would imagine that, you know, some coins don't have a website or don't have it just easily available on the website. That's kind of the design of, you know, the developer, the person who created the website. And the link brought you back to Etherscan. Yeah. So is there a way just to go into Etherscan and say, hey, look, I want to see the code for this project, and then it is easily to be found that way?
Yeah, so you can go in. I haven't done it recently, but you can go into Etherscan and just look up like a specific coin. And so let's see, I'm going to do Uniswap. One sec, let me see if I can actually find it. We're just going to go to top tokens actually. Oh, HEX is number 4. That's great. Okay, let's see here. Yes, you can. Okay, I can show you. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so I chose, oh, there we go. I chose just Shiba Inu, whatever one was not like an actual like blockchain. And it started out on this page, but if we come into contract, we can come down and we can see the code right here. So actually, let's see how long this code is.
Yeah.
Okay, less than 500 lines of code. That's great.
Yeah.
So you can come in and look at it here. It is so much easier though going through a specific like part that or a specific website that allows you to actually look at their code. So like looking at that, it's very hard to read. Whereas like if you're on GitHub, it will highlight things and like organize it in a way that is actually a lot easier to read than just like looking at it in that like text box like format. So
Yeah.
so that is something to like keep in mind is like you absolutely can do that. But if you can find it through the website and if they have a GitHub link, like do that way. It's going to be so much easier.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of mentioned that you got started with coding in your very young ages, middle school, high school, something like that. Where do you like steer people now? Like when you're talking to, and I'm guessing that you have tons of different, what do you call, not followers, but you create content on so many platforms, right? So people are like, what do you do? How did you get started? What kind of advice do you give to like young people looking to get involved in this space?
Yeah, so if they're interested in coding, something that I always tell someone is to try out web development first. Learn HTML, learn CSS because they're very easy, to be honest. They're very easy to learn, but it gets your like mind into the mindset of actual like coding and what like coding languages look like. I remember when I started coding, I dreamt in code and my like dreams and just like my thoughts were all within algorithms. And it was so weird. It was so weird. But that's like, like I was just so immersed in it that that's how I thought. And which was, it was kind of cool. Now going back and being like, yeah, I dreamt in code. Like that's so weird, but like awesome. So if someone's interested in coding, start out with that. See if you like it, and if you don't, like that's okay. Maybe that's not for you. And then there's a pathway that you can like get into other things as well. And then within crypto, my thing always is look at specific coins. And so I'll actually give them specific coins, and Hex is one of them. And I tell them, look into these. I always like will have them watch one of my beginner guide videos where they like have to download Coinbase and MetaMask and go through that whole process. And some of my cute friends recently, they've been like, I want to join crypto. And there's these amazing ladies that literally do not know anything about crypto at all. And one of them the other day at dinner, she was like, so wait, is there something called Bitcoin? I was like, you are so cute. Like, I'm so glad that we are having a conversation about this right now. And so I'll have them go through that video of my beginner guide. And then after that, I'm like, just let me know. I am happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. And it's always a scary process because they're like, I have to link my bank account to this. And so it's interesting. And I'm sure you have this in your life too, where there's these hurdles that take some time to get over of explaining of like, okay, yes, you are putting your bank account to be a part of this, but like there's a middleman that makes sure that like the exchange isn't going to just take your money, or if you are like on MetaMask or whatever and you're doing one of their pay options, like there's a middleman that's not going to take your money. And so like there are so many hurdles and I think it depends on where someone's at in their journey, because it will determine how quickly they get onboarded. Do they actually want to believe in this? Do they actually want to invest money in it? And it's easy to tell what type of person is trying to like have you help them with just how they interact with you and how quickly they go through it.
Yeah. We got a question from the chat. It says, how can you tell within the open source code whether, I'm guessing, it is immutable or not? And which are you ladies more bullish between Pulse-Chain and Pulse-X? Oh, okay. Well, follow-up question.
Sweet. Okay, so you can tell if it's immutable if you go in and see if there's any admin keys. Within open source, you can go in and see that. And I feel like it's typically at the top, but looking at that as well as, it's basically just that.
Is it typically literally called admin key? Is that like the term that you see in the code? Because I know I've seen the word admin before, but maybe there's different variations of it.
Yeah, anyone can name anything. So there is that, but admin keys will look a specific way. And actually, I've been having ChatGPT help me out with that, where like I'll give it a specific like amount of code and I'll ask it like, show me like this in it. And ChatGPT has actually really helped me with learning like, okay, what does look immutable and what doesn't, and just everything within that. So I would actually recommend using ChatGPT for that because it's super helpful.
AI is definitely going to take over.
Yeah.
It's so useful in so many different areas. So I can, see. Somebody actually sent me, believe it or not, a chat GBT or whatever it's called, hex rap. Like somebody typed into the AI, write me a hex rap, and then they sent me these lyrics to give to my husband so that he can turn it into a song. And I was like, he doesn't need any help writing lyrics, but that's just crazy that, the computer is now spitting out songs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing though.
Absolutely. So which one are you more bullish on, Pulse Chain or Pulse X?
Ooh, I feel like Pulse Chain's going to just, overall be amazing, but I'm really excited for Pulse X because of the buy and burn function and how that's going to, take away from the supply and just hopefully overall be a great thing too. But I don't think either of them are going to be a bad option. What do you think?
No, absolutely. So I guess for me, whenever I get this question, because I get it a lot, it comes down to timeline for me, right? Which one is going to do better faster? Which one has, a longer run or a higher overall gain? I really don't know. But at the end of the day, I do know that a lot more people sacrifice for Pulse X than Pulse Chain. And Pulse Chain is the native token. So everybody needs it. And really everybody wants it. Like you want to have a bag of both. So just by the pure number of people that missed on Pulse Chain, but got in on Pulse X, I think a lot of those people early are going to want to convert a little bit of their sacrifice bag into, more hex on Pulse Chain or Pulse Chain itself. And then that may cause the price, of Pulse X to drop initially. But the longer the DEX is operating, the more users that come into the space, the more that buy and burn will, have an impact on the price. So for that reason, long-term speaking, I would probably try to hold on to my Pulse X as long as I possibly could and maybe take a little bit of profits from my Pulse Chain. But that's because I was an early sacrificer. Everybody can't say that.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's good. Timeline totally matters in this.
Yeah, for sure. So there's another thing that I wanted to bring up and discuss. Totally different topic outside of coding. I just need a second to bring up the window. It is an event or a giveaway that Lindsay hosted that I won. So I was super happy to have been on the winning side of a giveaway. I'm normally the one doing a bunch of giveaways. Try and zoom in so we can see it. And I found out in the announcement that you also will be going to this event representing for HEX. And this is a really nice event that I'm hearing. I saw on Viber's page, let's see if I see it, that it's an invite-only event, leaders, innovators, celebrities, influencers. And I guess this is a mainnet launch. Is that correct? Do you know a little bit about what's going on with this event? I saw it was in LA. I saw it was networking crypto, and I was like, hey, I'll sign up for a giveaway. And then I won. So
yeah. Yeah, so I'm super excited about this event. It's going to be super fun. Me and my sister are actually going to be at it, but it is a mainnet launch of, okay, do you say it Corium? Okay, that's what I was thinking too. So of this Corium blockchain, And it's super cool. That night, they're actually going to host their airdrop, which will be super cool. And so there's going to be several Hexicans there, but then also it is within like the whole XRP ecosystem. And so I'm excited, like we're going to be able to network with other people. And I just love meeting people within like blockchain crypto things anyways. And then there's going to be some Hexicans. And so, you know, I'm sure we're going to bring the party because Hexicans are definitely that type of vibe. But it's going to be really fun. And I'm so glad you won because we'll be there together.
Yes, I'm excited. I always want to learn. I'm definitely not one of those people that hold to a maximalism principle, right? Where like, just because I love Hex and I talk about it so much, it's the only thing I can learn about. I want to learn about anything innovative and creating new utility in this space, and that can bring more people in, because every narrative doesn't speak to every person, right? There is a huge community of people that love XRP, and I know nothing about it, but that narrative spoke to them, and they are helping increase adoption into, you know, crypto as a whole. So I'm very interested to learn. I have no clue, if I'm being honest, I have no clue about what the project is about. I believe that it's a layer one,
I think
because it's a mainnet launch, and that it somehow involves XRP. But yeah, that's pretty much all I know.
It's going to be great. So Viber Finance actually has come out with several videos. So I still need to hit those up. But they do have several videos that have come out about it. And I just haven't gotten to that point yet. But yeah, it's going to be an amazing event. And it's definitely going to probably get us pumped up for the mainnet launch of Pulse Chain, because it's going to, you know, it's going to be so energetic and fun. And I'm excited to see, you know, what their project is and why they believe in it, because I mean, who knows, like maybe it is something that's awesome. And I mean, you can have more than one crypto that's amazing. And I definitely agree with you about the whole like maximalism thing. Like Hex actually isn't even my biggest winner at this point in time. And that's okay, because eventually I think it will surpass everything else. But there's other cryptos that have been awesome for me, at least personally as well. And so, yeah, like I like this community because everyone's so amazing, and it's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. So I just want to share this one more time. This is Viber Finance. They have a YouTube channel. They have really, really great content, educational content, onboarding content. So if you have not been over to their channel or to their Twitter page, please give them a follow, give them a subscribe. And I'm going to go over there and try to find out more. I don't want to sound like a noob when I get there, right?
Like, oh, I just showed up to this event. I don't know how I got here. I don't know anything about this, but here we are.
Anything about this project, but yeah. So that's great. We both have very, very full schedules, so it was not my intention to, you know, hold long, but I did. I've never even looked at the Hex code. Like I've been in Hex since pre-big payday, and not once have I ever looked at it. So I really did want to do this with you and kind of go through and just, you know, alleviate that fear that I'm just going to be a complete noob, right? If I go in there by myself, then I'm just like, I don't understand any of this. But you made it quite easy to at least be able to say, okay, I can find GitLab. I can look at the notes. I can see what's going on here. So thank you for your time. Is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap up, where people can find you, what content you have coming?
Yeah, sure. So one more thing about the code. If you do want to look through it, just look for the comment sections. So it's a slash, an asterisk, and whatever's within like that little section, that is what's going to be that specific section of code. So if you want to read it, like you can, it's in English. It's not in any programming language. So if anyone's interested in that, definitely go in and do that. I will be coming out with a video, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, that is a deep dive into the Hex code. It's just going to take me, honestly, hours to prepare it. So I'm like, I need to find time to do that. But other than that, like I just have my regular content. I try to post every weekday. And then I also post Get Ready With Me videos every weekday of just like basic crypto like knowledge. And so yeah, so that's me. If you're looking to find my channel, it's FashionCoder on YouTube, and then FashionCoder 6 on Twitter. Twitter and on Instagram. And thank you so much for having me. Obviously, I think you can tell I'm very passionate about the code, and it makes me so happy, like being able to talk about it. So thanks for giving me a space that I could do this.
Absolutely. I love your passion and your energy. You're awesome for the space. I really think that we need more youthful people that are willing to express their opinions, right? Sometimes younger people just don't want to hear from the boomers. Like, we could have all the great information in the world, but I just don't want to listen to you. You're too much like my mom. So I encourage all of the young people to come out and to share their passion and their knowledge in the space. We need more women and more youth. So thank you for your time. Tomorrow I will be back the same time, same place, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My guest tomorrow is RH Max. We will be, for the first time on our show, talking about post-chain. Richard posted 95% one of his last tweets said. So V3 should be upon us. I mean, he did also put the little caveat that it's been at 95% for a few days. So how many more days they can stay at that same level? But I have a feeling that V3 is upon us really, really soon. So tune in tomorrow to find out all of the post-chain information and updates. Thank you again, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.